Hey, good morning everyone. First of all, happy Easter. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe. Also hit the bell icon if you want to be notified anytime we upload anything that's saddle hunting related. And hopefully you like the video. If you do, give us a like. We really appreciate the support. This is a special request video. I had somebody ask the question, what are the pros and cons to DRT and SRT, one versus the other. So as any of you know who've been watching our videos, Scott and I are real big fans of these arborist rope climbing methods. They're not the end-all be-all to getting into trees. I would still recommend you have another form of climbing like sticks or steps, because you're going to have, there's no one climbing method that will work or be the best method in every situation. These methods work great depending on the circumstance. For us, especially if we have to hike really far in, you want to really minimize the weight, and you want to get into a tree that's maybe a much physically larger tree. These methods work great, but it's really good to have a set of sticks as well. If you're going someplace blind first time, these can be more difficult to get into trees when you're using a throw ball and that sort of thing. For us, we use a lot of presets, so we do a lot of post and preseason scouting. So for us, it works really well for that. But they are a lot of fun. They're really good methods, a lot of fun. And as we always say, if you're going to climb trees, and you want to find out what's the most efficient way, safest way to get up in a tree, who's the best person to turn to ask? And for me, that would be a professional arborist that does it every day. And they use these methods safely every single day to work in trees. So there's got to be something to it. To answer the question, the pros and cons of DRT and SRT, Scott and I primarily are DRT climbers. Scott is old school. He just loves DRT climbing. He's not going to climb SRT just because DRT works fine for him, and he's just a lot more comfortable using DRT. So me, I'm a newer climber. I've learned both methods. Frankly, I prefer SRT climbing because to me it's a little bit easier and it's kind of more fun. I mean, you can kind of zip up and down the tree a lot quicker and easier with SRT equipment. However, in a hunting situation, I will probably be using DRT more often in a hunting situation, and I will be combining some of the SRT gear with my DRT climbing. But to get right to the point of the question that was asked, pros and cons, DRT, the pros are the cost. It's going to cost you significantly less money to use DRT equipment. All you need for DRT is, what we're using is 75 feet of 11.4 millimeter Samson Predator climbing line and a carabiner. And it's quiet. There's nothing here to make noise. It's light. It's about 4 pounds of gear to get up 35 feet. It's not, if you understand and you get the technique, it's physically not difficult to climb DRT. There's a couple variations. You can use a foot loop. You can use the traditional hip thrusting method. You could even incorporate a hand ascender with a foot loop, which I've been using lately. It's very, very easy. When I use a hand ascender with a foot loop and DRT climbing, I can climb one-handed. It's that easy. So those are the pros with DRT. It's very light, it's very quiet, and it's very inexpensive. The downside to DRT climbing is it's physically more difficult than SRT, and it's a little bit more fussy when you're setting your line in the tree. You have to get over one limb, the limb that you want to climb on, and you have to get your line over that one limb. If you have other limbs in the tree where it's kind of busy, sometimes it's real hard to get to that climbing line exactly where you want it the first time. It could be a little bit more difficult to get your line in the tree so that you can climb. Whereas with SRT, you can canopy hitch, which is basically girth hitching either one limb or even several limbs of the girth of the tree, and coming down with the one rope. You basically make like a slip knot, pull it up, and you're hanging off of one rope, and you climb that single rope. Whereas with DRT, it's one rope, but it's a moving rope system. You need both sides, and if you get any limbs in between, it will make it'll create a problem for you. So it's physically easier. I shouldn't say physically easier. It's just easier to get your line in the tree and climb with an SRT system. When I go out and set pre-loops, I always climb SRT. The reason why is it's just easier to get up into the tree. Get my line up there, I can base hitch it, I can canopy hitch it, not a problem. DRT, a little bit more fussy. So a lot of times I'll climb SRT to set my line for my DRT climbs when I come back and hunt. So the pros and cons with SRT, as I said before, physically less effort to climb the tree. Very easy. It's a lot of mechanical advantage. You're using leg strength. You're using basically three things. You're using one hand, your foot to step up, and then mechanical advantage with the line going over the pulley. And you climb very, very easily up the tree. There's no friction. There's also one of the pros and cons for SRT versus DRT. DRT climbing, you're going to be using a friction hitch on your rope. That friction, I just saw the other day, a guy did a little bit of damage to his rope because when he rappelled out of the tree using DRT climbing, that friction hitch, if you Rambo out of the tree, it creates a lot of heat and friction in the Blake's hitch. And you can glaze your rope or glaze the inside coils of your Blake's hitch. So I use, when I'm DRT climbing, my rope here is about 3 years old. It's like brand new, but I don't rappel out of the tree quickly. So if you rappel out quickly, you're going to create that heat and friction, and you could damage your rope. With SRT climbing, you don't really have to worry about that because, with this particular setup, with the gree-gree, it's metal on the, it's a smooth metal surface on the gree-gree to the rope, and it's just like pressure on it, but it doesn't, I'm sure it does create some heat and friction, but I think it's dissipated through the metal. And for the purposes of us climbing, 25, 30 feet, if you kind of Rambo out of that tree a little bit quicker, it's not going to do as much, it's not going to create as much heat and friction as it would when you're DRT climbing. So now let me talk about SRT pros and cons. The cons with it are the cost. It's a significant investment in the gree and your hand ascender, your foot loop and everything. So it's more cost with SRT. There's also more noise potential. It's metal. You have to be careful with the metal noise. So if I'm SRT climbing and I'm hunting, I always hold tight to my gree because that's where most of the noise can be concentrated, and you just want to do everything slowly because you don't want this thing to rattle and make any metal noise. But it can be done plenty quiet enough. You just have to pay attention to it. Whereas with DRT, there's really nothing to make noise. So yeah, SRT, easier to get your line in the tree, whether it's a base hitch, canopy hitch, physically easier to climb up and down are the pros. Also another pro is you're not going to damage your rope from rappelling down quickly or that sort of thing. The cons is it's more costly, it's more of an investment, and there's a little bit more noise potential. DRT, it's physically, for the cons are it's physically a little bit harder to climb the tree. It's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more fussy for getting your line on the limb that you want, and trying to make sure you don't have anything that's in your way when you're climbing. The pros are there's almost nothing that can make noise. It's a lot less money of an investment, and you know, you can climb easy enough, but between the two of them, SRT is definitely physically easier to do. So those are the two pros and cons. Just want to give you a heads up, if you don't know already, we collaborated with Wesper Tree, and on their website they've created a saddle hunter section, and they have two saddle hunter rope climbing kits. One is a DRT kit, one is an SRT kit, and they're going to come with everything you need to climb and saddle hunt using either the DRT method or the SRT method. On that website, now there's a different acronym they're using. They're using MRS, and MRS and DRT mean the same thing. MRS is moving rope system. SRT and SRS is the acronym they use for SRT now. SRS is single rope system. And they have two kits, and there's we have a promo code through our channel that you can utilize to get 10% off on either the kits or any gear that they have there if you want to set up your own system. So the DRT kit, which comes with the 75 feet of Samson Predator climbing line, a throw ball cube, 14-ounce throw ball, and the throw line, that one is going to be NYSH1 is the promo code for the DRT kit, and you'll get it at a discounted pricing, 10% off, and a kit pricing, so you get a pretty nice savings there. The SRT SRS kit is going to be NYSH2. That's for that kit. You get 10% off, you know, through using that promo code and kit pricing. And then if you want to buy any other items, single items or whatever, or put together your own kit that you want to use, you can use NYSH. That's, you know, New York Saddle Hunter. Use that promo code to get 10% off of anything at Wesper. So they were good enough to give that to us and you know, extend that to our viewers. So, you know, if you want some climbing gear, if you need carabiners, if you want to make a tether with Predator climbing line, anything, they can tailor make tethers. They can put eyes in the ropes, all kinds of things like that. So, you know, take advantage of it. They sell everything from, you know, Prusix. You know, we're climbing trees here, and they're a tree climbing, you know, gear business that will supply everything you need for tree climbing. So check them out. Hopefully that answers your questions, the differences, pros and cons between DRT and SRT. I'm fortunate I have both methods. I just want to say something too. We get a question sometimes. You know, this is Tuffelberger Platinum climbing line that you use for SRT climbing. It's designed for mechanical ascenders. This rope does not have the same knot characteristics as Samson Predator. Samson Predator is a little bit more limp, and it's easier, has better knot characteristics. So it works great for DRT climbing when you're tying in a Blake's hitch. Whereas the Tuffelberger Platinum, it's a little bit more static, and it doesn't knot up as easily as the Samson. So you can't use the Tuffelberger Platinum to DRT climb unless, you know, you might be able to use it if you incorporated a split tail. I never tried it, but you know, you wouldn't be able to use this for DRT climbing. But this is designed for mechanical ascenders and works better with them. Also, it doesn't. This rope is very static, so there's very little elongation and stretch to it. I've had guys ask me about using my SRT gear with a Predator climbing line. Now this Platinum is 10.5 millimeter. Predator is 11.4. The Gree is, the spec for it only goes up to 11 millimeter climbing line. So the Platinum is perfect inside the spec. Predator is a little bit larger. Now, I would not recommend using anything outside of the design spec of any mechanical ascenders, because it's providing your life safety. So do what the manufacturer recommends. You can contact our manufacturer and ask them if it's okay to use that rope. I've played around with it and it worked fine, but you know, I don't know if the design spec is more out of use, or out of safety. So I'll let you do the research on that. You can contact the manufacturer and see if they give you the blessing to use something like 11.4 millimeter Samson Predator in your gree. I played around with it here in my yard and it seemed to work fine, but I wouldn't want to recommend something that the manufacturer doesn't. So I'll let you check into that. But the Tuffelberger works fantastic with it. Doesn't stretch, works great. That's what we recommend. So hopefully this answers your questions. If you guys have any others, put them in the comment section. You know, we like making these videos and answering the questions and kind of staying in the loop with you guys. Hopefully you guys find it helpful. And if you have any others, you know, let us know. All right. So have a happy Easter, climb safe, and best of luck.